to the Outlandish comparison. Today we will be comparing The Fiery Cross with episode 9 of season 5, Monsters and Heroes. Now that title is directly taken from the book, chapter 101, Monsters and Heroes. And it's actually a very short chapter. It's about 2.5 pages. But, you know, you have Roger and Jamie talking about the difference between a monster and a hero. And this conversation, it takes place in a different area in the book, but they're still having this conversation. So it's very cool to see Roger and Jamie finally bonding. So up until this point, you always had Roger, you know, feeling like Jamie didn't respect him, that he didn't think he was a good enough man, because, you know, Roger, being from the 20th century, he was so used to using his mind as his job and didn't really do much physical labor, so he doesn't know how to do this stuff. So he always felt like, well, he didn't compare to Jamie, but also that Jamie didn't respect him. So I really like this episode, how you see them finally bury the hatchet and finally are in the same place and mutual respect between them. Now you'd probably notice in the credits this whole series that there were some buffalo, bison, whatever you want to call them, you know, gloriously grazing in the credits, and it's really beautiful. And so I knew that this was the episode they would bring them in. It was really cool to finally see, that's that thing from the credits, now that's where this happens in the story. And so they go hunting, and it goes awry. They know that, you know, buffalo are huge, huge animals, and one buffalo could feed many, many people on the ridge. They have a plan, but plans don't always work. They sometimes go awry, and what happens? Can't go much more awry than accidentally stepping on a poisonous snake. We always know Jamie's our hero, you know? Jamie's our hero, but a snake can take him down just like anyone else. So we see Jamie getting very sick very fast as the poison spreads. I wish in this show they would have done just a little bit more from the book of Roger and Jamie's talk through the night after Jamie gets bit by the snake, because, you know, in the show we see Roger trying to make Jamie feel comfortable and everything's gonna be fine because, hey, I know when you're gonna die. I saw the obituary and it's not today. But I like that the book acknowledges that he is still quite worried, and the more worried he becomes is when, you know, Jamie starts telling him, like, look, all right, if I don't make it, you gotta go do this and you gotta do that. And I like that Roger's just really feeling like, oh, how am I gonna do this? I'm not Jamie Fraser. I can't do this. I can't compare. I can't live out the rest of what Jamie needed to do in life. How am I gonna do this? And so you see Roger praying and, you know, begging to save Jamie. And so I wish they would have acknowledged that just a little bit more in the show. Something I didn't really like in the show is they made the buffalo a little too CG and a little too fast moving. So I just felt like they could have done that a little better. I really liked how Katrina played this episode because, you know, Claire is usually so confident and strong in her medicine, but her discussion with Jamie about, like, look, I may need to take your leg off because the poison has spread, and how Jamie has her promise not to do it because he doesn't want to live without a leg. And you see how distraught and torn she is, because she obviously loves Jamie more than anything and wants to keep him around, but she doesn't know if Jamie would ever forgive her for breaking her word. What I thought was a great addition that is not in the book because young Ian has not arrived on Fraser's Ridge yet, but having young Ian and having Fergus kind of give their perspectives on living without a limb. You know, if you recall, young Ian's father, Ian, old Ian, Ian Sr., he's without a leg. So basically Jamie would be in the same position as Ian, who he always considered Ian as a brother to him. And you have young Ian getting mad at Jamie because it's like, wait, you're acting like this way? Oh, you're acting that losing your leg is the worst thing in the world and you're not going to be a whole person? Would you say that to my dad? Someone you love and you know he's worth being respected and he's still a wonderful person even though he doesn't have his leg? Why are you acting like this? And then you have Fergus going back to, you know, I remember when I lost my hand and within one stroke I became a man of leisure and Jamie offered to take me in and be everything that I couldn't do. And so Fergus says that he and Marsley like to focus on the things they do have, not the things they don't. And I think that's really beautiful. Sometimes we have to live with disabilities or things that we feel like are taken from us too soon. And there's still always joy and hope to be found in life. And so I really love bringing Fergus and young Ian's perspective into this episode. So we have our monster that's a snake, but we all know that the real monster that we're talking about is Stephen Bonnet. And when Roger and Jamie are talking, in the book we get a little deeper of what the feelings are. And Jamie says to Roger, "He's a man, Ken," he said quietly, "not a monster." Was he? It was a monster, I thought, who haunted Brianna, and perhaps her father. Would killing him reduce him, make him more than a man again? I know, Roger's voice was steady, but lacked conviction. Roger has never killed anyone before. But Roger sees how his wife is haunted by this man. And we always think Jamie is our hero. But Jamie is also feeling haunted by this man. Everyone is haunted by this man. And so it's, what's the difference between a monster and a hero, or a man and a monster? It's so small sometimes. And it's like you have to think of Stephen Bonnet as just a man. Because if you think of him as a monster, you're never going to win. But what's the difference between a monster and a hero? So there are these deep existential, psychological musings that everyone's kind of dealing with. I really enjoyed this episode. I really liked Fergus and young Ian being more prominent in this episode because I never feel like they give Fergus enough in the TV show. So I'm glad that they finally gave him more lines and stuff to do. So as we go into our next episode, we don't know. Will Stephen Bonnet die? Will Jamie kill him? Will Roger kill him? What's gonna happen? So that's kind of what's bringing us into next week, so we'll see how that turns out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Please subscribe and turn on the notifications, and have a great rest of your day.
All that was fair